Good evening. Welcome to this week's edition of Gay Newsbreak. I'm John Califer.
And I'm John Beebe. Welcome.
Welcome, everybody. Well, the weather, once again, we do have ginger tonight, by the way. You'll definitely want to stay tuned for that.
I want to know why it's rained everywhere except my neighborhood.
Well, and my neighborhood, too.
Yeah,
We're in
it's
together.
up in Edmond, almost an inch the other day, and then it rained down here in Norman.
Yeah, we're taping in Norman, and it smells really nice down here. I can smell the rain. It smells wonderful. And I saw wet pavement coming down, but I never saw any actual rain.
Managing to evade us.
Yeah.
Be interested to get Ginger's answer later on as to why that's going on.
The woman with the answers.
We want to apologize for last week's show. It did not start, for those of you that were watching, you know that it didn't start till 7:30, and that was a scheduling problem. And hopefully we've got all the kinks worked out now, and you'll see us at 7 o'clock. So we do apologize for any inconvenience.
Yeah, we do apologize. That was just some difficulties beyond our control, and we hope to have that corrected.
Also have a few changes coming up in the next couple of weeks I think you're going to want to stay tuned for, and things that are going to be exciting to see as they come about. So stay tuned for that. Well, the Oklahoma Gay and Lesbian Political Caucus has joined the NAACP protest actions against Governor Frank Keating, who has been accused of racism. According to the OGLPC spokesperson, the protests are in response to Keating's attempts to evict homeowners in the area so he will not have black neighbors across from the governor's mansion. Protests are held on Northeast 23rd Street across from the governor's mansion on the first and third Wednesdays of every month from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. during peak traffic hours to maximize exposure. Well, the Red Tie Night, an annual gala sponsored by and benefiting the Oklahoma AIDS Care Fund, raised $300,000 from its 1998 event, and organizers have announced a distribution of grants to agencies and individuals involved in education, research, and assistance to people suffering with HIV and AIDS. Proceeds from the 1998 benefit have been distributed only in Oklahoma. Recipients include the Wins House, a home for persons living with AIDS, American Red Cross Oklahoma County Chapter, HIV and AIDS Education Materials for Youth, CarePoint Incorporated, which is a testing and counseling center, Legal Aid of Western Oklahoma, an AIDS Legal Resource Project, the Mariah Foundation, an HIV/AIDS Prevention and Education to Rural Oklahoma, and Northern Lights Alternatives, workshops to help individuals affected by HIV and AIDS. And also receiving funding are Oklahoma Hemophilia Foundation, teen retreats for young people living with the AIDS virus, Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation, Dr. Tang's AIDS Research, Oklahoma Mental Health Council's Red Rock Behavioral Health Services for individual, family, and group therapy for people with HIV and AIDS, Planned Parenthood of Central Oklahoma, which is an HIV prevention education, and Regional AIDS Interfaith Network, also known as RAIN, faith-based teams to assist individuals with AIDS in everyday tasks, and Tulsa Community AIDS Partnership, which is education, counseling, and testing for women at risk for HIV and AIDS, and Oklahoma AIDS Care Fund Individual Assistance Program, which covers rent, utilities, medical expenses for individuals with AIDS. Well, if you're interested in bowling in a league this fall, you are invited to a party on Tuesday, September 8th at 9 p.m. AMF Windsor Lanes at 4600 Northwest 23rd, which is at 23rd and Meridian, is offering 3 free games of bowling, free shoe rental, and light refreshments. Now, the meeting for the Tuesday Twisters, one of Oklahoma City's gay and lesbian bowling leagues, will be Tuesday, September 8th at 8 p.m. Their league play begins Tuesday, September 15th at 9 p.m. There are 3-person teams made up of any combination, and there will be a phone number at the end of the broadcast, so you can write that down on the community bulletin board. The Lambda Alternative League begins Sunday, September 13th, and that's at 5:15 p.m., and they are 4-person teams made up of any combination of persons, and you can also look for that phone number at the end of the show on the community bulletin board. And John, I bowled in some of those leagues about 10 years ago and had a great time, and haven't done it in a long time, and I'm thinking about joining up myself.
I'm kind of thinking about it too. I've stopped by and visited while they had the league going on before, and it always seems like a lot of fun.
Well, everybody always has a good time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. A way to get to know people too.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. Thanks a lot.
You bet.
In the national news, in August, the weekly gay newspaper in San Francisco, the Bay Area Reporter, put out a noteworthy issue. The issue featured a screaming front-page headline, "No Obits," along with an editorial titled, "Death Takes a Holiday." The newspaper reported for the first time in 17 years they contained no obituaries of persons dying of AIDS complications. Employees at the Bay Area Reporter reported that as of the middle of August, they had not received any obituaries for almost a week and a half. The course of the epidemic could be tracked through the publication. In the mid-'80s, the paper averaged a dozen obits a week, covering 2 to 3 pages in each issue. One issue contained 31 obituaries. The first noticeable drop in obituaries began about 2 years ago when protease inhibitors and other powerful drugs offered a more effective regimen for those infected. As delighted as the editors were, one editor, Mike Salinas, stressed, "It doesn't mean that there is no AIDS." And here's a pleasant follow-up to the story I reported last week about Red Lobster restaurants. Last week I told you their parent company had appealed a ruling by Illinois' Cook County Human Rights Commission that a Red Lobster in the Chicago area had wrongly terminated a gay associate manager. In appealing, Red Lobster questioned the constitutionality of the county's human rights ordinance. Now the parent company, Darden Restaurants, has met with the director of Illinois' Federation for Human Rights and apologized. In their apology, they blamed overzealous attorneys who offered the constitutionality question as one of many possible grounds for appeal. Company spokesman Andrew Dunn said, "While questions of legal jurisprudence are complex, our position on the matter of human rights is not. We absolutely do not tolerate discrimination based on sexual orientation. We respect and value the gay and lesbian community and understand the importance of its individual members." They have now removed the claims of unconstitutionality from their legal brief. And members in the Republican Party in Congress have recently battled each other over continued funding of the National Endowment for the Arts. The debate was carried on between moderate Republicans who supported the NEA and conservative Republicans who want to abolish the agency as called for in a long-standing plank in the National Party platform. Majority Whip Tom DeLay spoke for the conservative wing when he said it was fiscally irresponsible to use taxpayer dollars to fund projects offensive to taxpayers. It's probably not a coincidence that Representative DeLay also is seeking to defund President Clinton's recent executive order prohibiting sexual orientation discrimination among civilian federal employees. Representative Nancy Johnson of Connecticut represented a more moderate view when she proposed reinstatement of NEA funds after other Republicans had deleted it. Gay and lesbian material always has been among the projects the conservatives railed against most. Recently, the United States Supreme Court held that decency standards for NEA grants were acceptable. New NEA Chair William Ivey said, "The old debate over the existence of the NEA finally has given way to a more thoughtful dialogue about the appropriate level of federal arts funding in America." In the end, the House voted 253 to 173 to extend funding at its current level of $98 million, still a marked decrease from the peak of $176 million in 1992 before the so-called Republican Revolution. There's lots more of the show coming up, so stay with us.
Bye. Where does he get his information about drugs, alcohol, and sex? One day he's a child, and the next he's making decisions that could risk his life. It's a helpless feeling for a parent because you can't always be with him to keep him safe. But you can teach him how to be safe, and those words will stay with him, even when you can't.
We can help you talk about AIDS. Call for a guide.
Good evening, I'm Chuck Jones with tonight's World News.
And I'm Desmond Stone.
The Archbishop of Canterbury has been getting a lot of press these days. It seems that no matter where he goes, there is a group of gay rights activists on his tail. Just this last Sunday, the Archbishop made an appearance in America. At the service were approximately 50 protesters who wore pink triangles. Some of the protesters were Anglican priests. The protest was sparked by a recent vote in England by Anglican bishops. It seems that a group of bishops from the Church of England decided to vote on whether homosexuality was a sin or not. They voted that indeed it was. There's a shocker. This has angered many a gay Anglican, and they have decided to take it to the streets in protest. It must be pointed out that this recent protest was a silent one. Activists chose to voice their opinions by just their mere presence. In response to the protest, the Archbishop made a statement. He said, "My integrity, too, calls me to stand out for what I believe to be orthodox sexual morality." With the protests against the Archbishop being an ongoing thing, it seems that the fight for equality in the Church of England has a long way to go. And in a little bit of international entertainment news, the gay film Love is the Devil recently won top honors at this year's Edinburgh International Film Festival. The film is John Maybury's fictionalized account of the British painter Francis Bacon, who was gay. The film itself won the Michael Powell Award for Best New British Feature. Leading actors Derek Jacobi and Daniel Craig, who played Bacon and his suicidal lover George, shared the British Performance Award. Well, Desmond, I hear that you have some startling statistics for us tonight.
I have some numbers released by the UN regarding AIDS and HIV throughout the world.
Okay, well, we always look forward to your updates. I'm interested to hear your story tonight.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. About 90% of all HIV patients eventually develop a neurological disorder, commonly showing up as memory loss, difficulty in walking, mental slowing, depression, tremors, mood changes, apathy, and delirium. Until recently, AIDS dementia complex, or ADC, was difficult to diagnose and more difficult to treat. Doctors are now using a technique called localized MRI spectroscopy that allows precise detection of ADC or other neurological complications associated with HIV. Once diagnosed, patients may then be placed on a specific form of antiretroviral therapy, employing a class of drugs called NNRTIs that successfully cross the blood-brain barrier and appear so far to stop HIV in its tracks. Fat redistribution is emerging as one of the most common side effects associated with protease inhibitor therapy. Lipodystrophy can be seen in three forms: an accumulation of fat at the back of the neck near the top of the spinal cord, or the accumulation of hard fat deposits in the abdominal area, or wasting of the face, arms, and legs. So far, there is no approved treatment for this side effect, but one doctor reports success with 2 of his patients. After being injected with a growth hormone for 3 months, the fat accumulation at the back of the neck completely disappeared in one patient, and there was a 50% reduction in the fatty deposit in the other. Putting global AIDS in perspective, the UN released the following figures. About 22 million people across the globe are estimated to be living with HIV or AIDS, 42% of them women, and about 1 million are children, most infected by their mothers. Worldwide, between 75 and 85% of all HIV infections are transmitted through sexual intercourse without condoms, and in all, around 30 million people have been infected with HIV since AIDS was first recognized some 17 years ago. Of these, about 8 million are estimated to have developed AIDS. They include around 6 million who have died. And perhaps the most disturbing figure is that every 5 seconds, someone in the world is infected with HIV.
You know, I didn't know that 6 million, I didn't know that the figure had grown to that.
It's pretty astonishing. Once you see it, when it's placed in perspective visually, or when you hear the numbers, it paints a different picture for me.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be right back with, let's see, I believe we have Ginger and the Weather Girl. No, we have Ricky Staten with the entertainment news. Stay with us.
Oh, I can tell. Everybody's always a guy that can say that. I just know I don't sleep with women like that.
I've been told that by guys, you know, saying, oh, well, you look pretty safe to me. How do you know? How do you know who I've been with? You don't. Nobody ever knows.
You don't know.
Nobody ever knows that I have AIDS unless I tell them. I could walk into a room and nobody would ever know.
Respect yourself, protect yourself.
Well, as you're all aware, Alan has announced he's HIV positive. He's okay, but does anybody know what he's going through? What do our people think? We need to get on this. Shirley, do we have an employee policy? Are we required to set one up? Kurt, is he covered by our insurance plan? Okay, Ellen, as his manager, is he entitled to extra time off?
At least 1 in 10 businesses has had an employee with HIV.
John. Terry?
If you have a business, you need answers.
How can we help? Anybody? Anybody at all?
Call for this manager's kit and help keep your workplace healthy and productive.
It's awfully quiet in here.
When?
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Ricky Staten with tonight's entertainment report. Well, I spent last weekend in Austin, Texas. It was the opening weekend of their Gay and Lesbian Film Festival. Over the course of 4 days, I attended 7 screenings. In addition to feature-length films, I saw a few documentaries and a tribute to queer animation. On Monday night, I got to see the much-publicized Billy's Hollywood Screen Kiss. The movie is about a young gay photographer, Billy, who hires a gorgeous young musician named Gabriel to model for him. As expected, Billy starts to fall for Gabriel. The problem is, Billy doesn't know if Gabriel is gay. Billy is a romantic at heart, and his daydreams are like classic Hollywood romance movies. The film is touching, sweet, and very funny. I spoke with the manager locally at Brixton Square Theater, where gay films are occasionally shown. He's aware of the film. Currently, however, it's not scheduled there, but he said they might get the movie in late September. He explained that films in limited release have so few copies that smaller markets must wait for the films to end in larger markets like Dallas, Houston, or Denver before they're made available to smaller markets like Oklahoma City. So keep your fingers crossed, and I'll keep you updated. Another movie I had the pleasure to see was called Relax, It's Just Sex. This movie deals with the complicated issues of sex in the 90s. The film features a fine ensemble cast that includes Meg Tilly, Lori Petty, and Mitchell Anderson of TV's Party of Five. The movie takes you on an emotional roller coaster as it examines the issues of dating, monogamy, and love with a backdrop of HIV, gay bashing, and infidelity. The movie was written and directed by P.J. Castellaneta. This is his second film, and his reputation is growing as a filmmaker. In my opinion, this was a much better movie than Billy's Hollywood Screen Kiss. And since it features more well-known actors, I believe it stands a better chance of crossing over into a mainstream hit. Once again, it's called Relax, It's Just Sex. Seek it out. It's well worth seeing. And speaking of film festivals, Tony Francis is coordinating local efforts to bring a gay and lesbian film festival to Oklahoma City next year. If you're interested in helping out or would just like more information about the festival, contact our talkback line. Someone will get back with you with additional information. Now stay tuned, it's almost time for Ginger.
La vida de hoy no es fácil. Uno tiene que cuidarse. A mí me gusta divertirme, pero sé que tengo que protegerme. Vale la pena. Yo sé que si no me respeto a mí misma, nadie me va a respetar. Así, si un chico me dice que no quiere usar un condón, ¿qué le digo? Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Protégete. Respétate.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It's nice to be with you again. It's been a whole month, and can't tell by the weather, though. It's been absolutely hellacious. I know you see that I have a little thing here. Well, this is my Chia Queen. I started growing these, and it's working out real nice. And if this turns out, I'm going to get a 1-800 number. You'll be able to order these, you know, in time for Christmas for your friends. But see how attractive that is. You know, and it's better looking than probably some of your family members, and it'd be kind of fun to have around the house. All you need is a black bra, and, you know, well, better watch there. And you just water it, and, you know, there's a little seed. And now I started this one 2 weeks ago, and it's doing beautifully, I think. And, of course, you can select your own style of makeup. I let well, I won't suggest any other names, but I didn't make her up. Let's just put it that way. But you can kind of do what you want to with her. She comes with or without arms. It's extra, but you might enjoy her. But enough about that. We'd like to talk a little about the weather. There's not much to say. It's been hotter than, well, beep. It's been very hot, hasn't it? Yeah. For the last 3.5 months, it's been like 180. And the one good thing to look for, though, Christmas is only 4 months away. And I don't know of anything on record where it's been 100 at Christmas time here in Oklahoma, so we're bound to have a break soon. But as you can see, I put on the map right here, Hurricane Earl is playing hell with Florida, but he should be gone in no time. See, he's moving rather fast, if you'll notice. And then he probably will go back out to sea, and we'll never see him again. And it'll stay cloudy there for a while, but we're going to be hot and sunny until, probably sometime in October. Now, the fair is coming, as you know, and that's a favorite time for me and John Beebe, too, because we're both rides out at the fair. And, yes, John is a kid ride, and, of course, I'm for adults only. But it's a lot of fun. But it should be very warm, and you should... Well, some of the sun will go away, but, you know, it'll be kind of hit and miss. But as you know, it always rains during the State Fair, but I don't look for it this year at all. I don't see any. I know Mike is a dear friend of mine, Mike Morgan. We are very close, you know, like this. And he's been telling you that it's going to rain for the last 3 months, and I'm here to tell you it's not. Now, I do know that it has rained in some rural areas where they grow corn, and that's good because we need that. But where I live, in the nicer part of Oklahoma City, it hasn't rained at all. So, you know, if you live around the areas where I do, you know, just off the edge of Nichols Hills, there hasn't been any rain since the tornado. So, you know, not in toward the edge, you know, around Split T area, but it's still kind of nice. You can get a good price for them if you keep them up. But anyway, not much going on in the country. A little drizzle here in Seattle, about 78. And San Francisco, of course, is always fabulous. Even if it rains, it doesn't make any difference. You have so much fun, you don't notice it. But it's been about in the 70s, and of course, as you notice, one of the Great Lakes is gone because they've had the heat wave too, and it's dried up completely. So it's gone. But, you know, maybe some rain from Earl could possibly go this way and then come down that way and maybe fill the lake back up. We don't know. And we're really not that interested in it anyway. But we do have your State Fair forecast, do you remember? Hopefully it'll cool off enough so you can dress. I kind of like to look chic when I go to the fair, you know. There's enough trash there, you just don't want to add to it. I kind of like to wear something dressy, but you can't do that unless it's cool. So we're hoping that it cools down. We can wear a sweater kind of with the collar turned up, you know, and looking real nice. I like to open, of course, so I'm very full-figured, so I kind of have to do something that way, as you can tell. And it's corn dog heaven for the big girls, so we're looking forward to that. I ordered the Richard Simmons Deal-A-Meal, but I'm not going to open it until after the fair, because I'm not going to dance to any oldies until I've gotten my corn dogs filled. So, anyway, John, aren't you looking forward to being a ride? I think it'll be great. Oh, no, we're not going to start late anymore. We won't have that. I don't know who the moron was that worked here at that time, but I think he's gone now. But anyway, we hope that doesn't happen. I don't know who that ridiculous woman was, exercise. Did you see her? She had these big lips like they were full of silicone. She was... I would never. I thought I was so bored. I went out and made a cheese sandwich and then got a Twinkie and then ate a sack of potato chips and finally fell asleep waiting for it to come on. So those of you that stayed up, we do appreciate it. But we'll be on at 7 o'clock. And if we're not on at 7, you write this station and tell them you won't tolerate it. All right? Because, you know, we have other things to do. I have to do hair. And by the way, my hair was done this week by, what was his name? Oh, yes. No, I don't remember what his name was now. I sent it in, so I don't know which one of the kids did it, but I'm real proud of it. Came from McMurray's Hair Design. I'm always thrilled with that. This is kind of fun. It was taken from a theme from Whitewater, where, you know, that slide. We kind of like that. But right now we're going to go to a message, and then we'll kind of come back and wind down. So we'll be back with you in just a minute.
I didn't understand my girlfriends growing up. I'm in love, and it was a different guy every 3 weeks. I didn't understand that.
The safest form of sex is no sex.
People will tell you, everybody's doing it. Well, then you'll have no problem finding somebody else to do it with them, will you? I don't look back and regret ever not taking up an opportunity of sleeping with someone.
No sex. Secondary virginity is what I practice, which means I've had sex in the past, and now I've stopped. The next time I will have sex will be when I get married.
Respect yourself. Protect yourself.
Good night, sweetheart.
Good night, Liza.
Thank you for joining us tonight. We're glad you could be here and invite you back next week. Hopefully we were on at the right time and from now on.
We welcome your comments on the community bulletin board on the talkback line, so please give us a call and let us know how we're doing, and if you have any ideas, we appreciate your input. Had an interesting trip down, didn't we, Ginger?
Oh, we did. We always do those.
It's never a dull moment when we drive from Oklahoma City down here to Norman to tape during the day. And
that's right.
You had a nice trucker.
I did.
Give
Followed us for quite some time. Big old boy. I've got to learn to ride in a car and not in the back of a pickup truck. It's a big giveaway, though, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got to learn.
But it was kind of fun. It really was. It was almost as much fun as the Walmart trip.
We have pictures of that, too. We may have to show you those.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sounds
Ricky,
fun.
I know you're not Mike. Maybe Ginger can scoot over. You can talk between her boobs. But how was your trip in Austin?
It was very fun. I'm going back in a few weeks.
Great. Great. Well, we look forward to hearing more about that. Talk into the boobs. Well, again, we really appreciate you staying with us. And again, we'll have some information next week on the Miss Mid-America pageant that's taking place at Angles this Wednesday night. We'll have the winner for you next week. Again, we thank you for staying with us, and we hope to see you again next week.
Until then, good night.
Good night.
Good night.